Yep, you're on, buddy.
There we go. Well, thanks so much for inviting me. Oh, I gotta say okay to this. There we go. Thanks everybody for inviting me to this tonight. I really enjoy doing these presentations because I want to do something where everybody can walk away with something that helps their photography. And one of the things that helped me early on was just knowing places that I could go. And so I have a presentation that I've been doing for a long time that's called Tom's Favorite Places to Photograph in Georgia. Well, popular demand was, why don't you also do a presentation, Tom's Favorite Places to Photograph next to Georgia? So, it's kind of a double entendre because it's my favorite place to photograph is Georgia. So that's part of the meaning. But the other part of the meaning is places that are adjacent to Georgia, so nearby locations to photograph. Um, so I'm going to go down here to the share section. Oh, and one thing to mention to everybody, um, Pat, I have a um, I have a handout that I will send you that has all of the locations that I'm going to cover tonight. It has the addresses of these locations so that if you take that address and you put it into your GPS, whether it's a Apple, iPhone, using Apple Maps or Google or whatever you do, if you put that in there, your navigator will take you to the place. So it's a two-page, Word document. And is it okay if I send you that, Pat, to then send out to the group? So cool. Okay, well, let's start. I always start at really one of my favorite places on the planet to photograph, um, Great Smoky Mountain National Park. And so let me start the actual show. There we go from the beginning. Ta-da. Everybody see it okay? On everybody's screen okay?
Yeah,
All right. So everything that you see on this screen is was photographed at one of the locations that I'll be covering tonight. So I'm taking all the kind of close locations, but outside of the state of Georgia. As I said, this is kind of part two to the other presentation that I do. So all of these are places that were next to Georgia. I'm going to try to move this um, bar a little bit to where it's not really. So the bar with all the faces and stuff is kind of covering up a lot of. There we go. That helps. Oh, okay. So let's go to number one, Great Smoky Mountain National Park. There's probably a lot of people that have photographed or at least traveled to Great Smoky Mountain National Park, but my idea in this is to kind of give you some ideas for places that maybe you didn't know about, and also maybe some subjects that you didn't know about in the Great Smoky Mountain National Park, and a little bit of detail about how to get to those locations and what to do there, and also when to go. So I'm going to try to give you ideas on when you should try to go to these locations. Because as you know, if you're at the right place but in the wrong time, you're still in the wrong place, right? Because you're not going to get what you wanted to get there. So I'm going to try to give you both the time and the place for each of these things. Um, I do want to mention something that I heard in the comments prior to this. Somebody talked about Travis Rhodes uh, and leading the trip, and I imagine that's the GNPA trip up to the Smokies weekend that you were talking about. That is a fantastic trip to go on. The people that will be involved in that program, including Travis, but others that are, you field trip leaders and so forth, probably know that park better than most photographers. So you'll learn a lot of good. tricks of the trade, places to go, times to go there that you wouldn't know about without going on that trip. You'll get great opportunities. So I highly recommend um, the Smokies weekend. So let's talk about Great Smoky Mountain National Park, an incredible and superlative place. Um, Great Smoky Mountain Park has more than 4,000 different species of plants, 140 species of tree, more than all of Europe, 65 species of mammals, 200 varieties of birds, 67 species of native fish, more than 80 types of reptiles and amphibians, about 1,500 American black bears, call the Smoky Mountains home. So it's an amazing location for biodiversity. No matter what you like to photograph, whether it's birds or mammals, bears, elk, wildflowers, trees, scenery, waterfalls, you can find it in Great Smoky Mountain National Park. There's no entrance fee for the park, but there is a parking fee. So the parking fee is very reasonable. I think it's $15 for 3 days. And so you need to have the parking pass in your car. It is the most visited national park in the United States. It is, believe it or not, the salamander capital of the world, something that I've just started photographing more of. Some of the oldest mountains in the world, 200 and 300 million years old. So amazing, amazing geology. There's more than 800 miles of hiking trail in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. I've done about 200 of them. 2,900 miles of stream, um, and the weather there can really be extreme. It can get 20 below on the top, of say Mount LeConte in the wintertime. And then it can be, but it's usually not that hot there. It's kind of tempered by the mountains. So I'm going to go back real quick. So look up. Can y'all see? Somebody tell me. Can y'all see my cursor moving around?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I'm going to start here with Cades Cove, um, and then kind of talk about that area. And then I'm also going to go here to Tremont, which is what y'all were talking about with the Smokies weekend. Y'all will probably stay in Townsend, Tennessee, which is where I usually stay when I go to Cades Cove. You can also stay in the park there at Cades Cove, the campground there at Cades Cove. And then I'm going to go up here on the highway a little bit, 441 towards Newfound Gap. And I'm going to talk about a couple of locations there, Morton's Overlook, and then parking area number 4, which has a fantastic overlook. I didn't mean to forward that yet. Then I'm going to go down here to the Oconaluftee Visitors Center down near Cherokee. I'm going to take a swing up here to Cataloochee. So this is a huge park. I could do the whole presentation tonight and then for the next 6 months just on the Great Smoky Mountain National Park, but we're going to try to hit some of the high spots. So Cades Cove is just a fantastic location. This was shot the first day of fall in 2024. So this is Sparks Lane in the loop. Now, if you know the loop, it's an 11-mile loop road that goes through Cades Cove. It opens at sunrise. And usually, especially in leaf peeping season and so forth, you want to get there well before it opens because the line of cars is really, really long waiting to get in there as it opens in the morning. It's not as much at the time that I was there for this photograph, just because this wasn't the sort of peak season for that. But Cades Cove is a fantastic location for landscapes. This is looking up towards Rocky Top and up towards the Appalachian Trail. It's actually behind that, but some really, really great scenes there. in the park. There's so many possibilities for landscapes in Cades Cove. Um, the picture to the right was shot near where that opening picture was. That's right off of Sparks Lane, that first day of fall. That tree up here is a real famous one that is kind of on as you're starting around the loop, I would say it's about 35% of the way through the loop road. And this is about 25% of the way through the loop road on Cades Cove. But as you go through, the opportunities for landscapes are just remarkable. There's millions of them. You want to get there early in the morning if you can, so that you get, the golden hour light, if you can, right after the sunrise, or at least low-angled sun in early in the morning. Um, then I would also recommend that you have your tripod with you, because you're going to have landscapes that are going to take a little bit more time than something you can handhold. So I would recommend that. Great opportunities not only for landscapes, but what I call populated landscapes. Deer. You see a lot of deer in there, and so it's just a really good place for that. White-tailed deer rut usually peaks around Thanksgiving. These are all taken from or near the Cades Cove Loop Road. Whenever I'm going through there looking for white-tailed bucks, I usually want to go there early in the morning. And like I say, around Thanksgiving is a really good time to be able to see them. And obviously, one of the great things about the rut is that the you see the whitetail bucks, whereas a lot of times, they're real secretive when it's not during the rut season. The other thing that is up there in great numbers. There's 1,500 total black bears in the park, and it's probably that number is probably growing. This was shot September the 22nd, if I recall correctly. So. This was shot a little bit past what I'm going to call the peak time for photographing the black bears. I'll talk about that in a minute. This was shot on Sparks Lane. Have any of y'all been to Sparks Lane before on the Loop Road in Cades Cove? Yeah, so some have. This was shot on that little creek that your car goes over. You ford through that little creek with your car as you drive through there. And as I was driving back out to the loop, I looked to my left, and there was this mama and two cubs turning over rocks there in the creek bed, looking for stuff to eat. So that was a real fortuitous opportunity. Um, but one thing I would warn you, be very careful around the bears, especially with cubs. And I would definitely do what the signs all throughout the park tell you. Stay at least 50 yards away from them. And of course, the 50 yards is just a guideline. If you need to be farther away. The thing you don't want to do is you don't want to interfere with their behavior. So this is my favorite time to go to the park. This is where you can most easily find the bears. This is a little cub up in a cherry tree during the time that the this was August the 8th of 2024. So when those black cherries come into fruit, one of the best ways to find the black bears is just find a cherry tree, and those bears will be up in the cherry trees eating those berries. The berries are really, really good for them, loaded with antioxidants. The rangers up there say that a good cherry year is also a good year for bears. When I shot this photo, there were seven total bears in this cherry tree.
Okay.
There were two adults, and the rest were cubs. There were five cubs. One of the moms had two cubs. One of the moms had three cubs. So obviously, a lot of photographers around that tree. This was right off of the loop road, so it was easy to access. Park the car. One thing I would tell you about parking up there, when a couple of rules. First, get park your car. Don't stop in the middle of the road. That's what causes bear jams. Secondly, when you do park your car, either do it in a parking spot, which there are some there that are striped parking spots, or make sure that you can get all four wheels off the road. That's what the rangers will tell you. All four off is what you need to do in order to park so that cars can get through. This is early August, black cherries fruiting. This fella, I photographed him up in that tree for, I don't know, an hour and a half. Just a great day and we really hit the right timing this year. September is the acorn time, and also a little bit later is when the walnuts are on the ground. I'm not a big fan of being there when they're going up in those trees after the acorns because it's really hard. They go way up in those trees, and it's just really hard to see them and photograph them. But after that, and the cherry trees, not so much. The cherry trees, it's really easy to see them going after the cherries. So that's one of the reasons I prefer that time. The other thing is that the walnuts. So this bear on the left here is eating walnuts. This is right near Cades Cove Campground, and eating walnuts that are on the ground in that creek bed there. And that's the nice thing about walnuts because they're on the ground. So it's easier to get, good shots of the bears instead of having to try to figure out how to, shoot them way up in a tree. Um, this is a good example of how many of the crowds that come in early August. And y'all know that telephoto lenses compress distance. So those folks really are pretty far back from those bears. And actually, the rangers typically, when are or volunteers are typically out there trying to manage the situation. So the reason that all of those people are in a really nice straight line is that just to the right of them, there's a park ranger standing there saying, "Don't go beyond this line." So they were definitely managing the situation. Middle Prong, this is in the Tremont area. This is where y'all were talking about going. This is one of my favorite places on earth to photograph, especially in the fall. Love photographing that river. Great opportunities there. Don't rule out photographing the road itself because something about that road and how it's paved, when it just gets a little bit of rain on it, it turns into an absolute mirror. So it's kind of cool just to photograph that road there on in the Tremont area. So this is something that was really serendipity at work. Just decided to go up there all the way to the end of the road to photograph Middle Prong, and sure enough, there's a photographer there who says, "Oh my gosh, you guys just stumbled into this. I've been waiting for this for 10 years." So what's going on here is that there's a certain curve right there at the end of the road where the trail begins, and that curve has a bunch of trees that are kind of golden that are where the sun hits them, but this area is shaded. So what happens is the river just turns into this river of gold because it's reflecting those sunlit trees, and you just go up there during the time that the fall foliage, and maybe you'll get lucky and get hit the timing perfectly like that. My friend and I who were up there just looked at him and said, "Oh, well, this is our first time here," which is probably not a nice thing to say for a guy who'd been up there for 10 years trying to get that shot. But he did get that shot that day. Smoky Mountain waterfalls. There's waterfalls all over the park. Any trail map or guide to the park will tell you, where they are. The one to the left is Grotto Falls. The one in the middle is Tom's Branch Falls, right off of Deep Creek, and then Laurel Falls is probably the most visited falls in the park. And Laurel Falls is. I'm going to go back here a little bit. Remember that? Okay, so if we take my cursor and then we're going back this way, Laurel Falls is right in this area, is where Laurel Falls is. Okay, let's go back. So some great waterfall opportunities there, and this is just some of them. There's
Ah,
yeah,
yeah. The thing's upstairs. Adele?
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello? Okay. So some of the great resources for planning a trip to the park are the website. And like I was talking about falls a second ago. If you look over here to the left, this is just off the website. You know, hike to Abrams Falls, Grotto Falls, Henwalla Falls. Uh, so the website, if you're planning a trip up there yourself, I would definitely visit the official National Park Service website for Great Smoky Mountains National Park. And it'll also give you all the rules and stuff about buying parking passes and where the visitor centers are, and even the stuff that I covered about, you know, when you park, make sure you get all four wheels off the road and stuff like that. Wildflowers in Great Smoke. It's probably one of the best wildflower venues anywhere. Um, the wildflower blooming calendar, North Carolina, Smoky Mountains, Bryson City. If you put that into your Google, it'll come up with this great flowers in the Great Smoky Mountains, and it actually gives you a calendar of when they are blooming. Over there to the right, you can probably see the Dutchman's breeches that I photographed, but you know, you can see in March you got Bloodroot and Columbine and Dutchman's breeches and so forth, and it goes down the line. So the other thing too is if you look up just wildflower walks, um, I think I got this off their official website. But if you do wildflower walks in Google in the Great Smoky Mountain National Park, you'll come up with this list. And these are just some of the best trails to do wildflower walks on. Morton's Overlook. So you remember I said we were going to kind of go 441 towards Cherokee. So this is just before you get to Newfound Gap. So if you look at this map here, you see the Bob Morton Overlook there in the red. And if you notice, it's just before Newfound Gap. And of course, this is all on the Tennessee North Carolina line. So you're about to pass from Tennessee into North Carolina. And there just can be some great opportunities. This was shot at the Morton Falls Overlook on a kind of a stormy day that, you know, early in the morning in the fall that gave, you know, some really nice weather to photograph there. It's a great place to get out with both your wide angle lenses and photograph, but it's also a good place, as you can tell, I'm sure, to use telephoto compression and get those various ridges in there and make some nice images that way. Um, Lefty Overlook is parking area number 4 on 441. Here's the map. So you notice there it says Lufty Overlook. Now look at Newfound Gap. So you see now you've crossed into North Carolina from Tennessee, and it's just past that area. And these are all shot from that Lufty Overlook. I usually get up there before sunrise and just kind of wait to see what develops in the morning. All sorts of things can happen. If you look, there's that one morning where you get the, you know, the nice sun coming through all of those clouds, and that's well after sunrise there actually. And you get the photograph here to the left with, you know, all of the moisture in the atmosphere really adding to that image. Here's two kind of blue sky images from that same overlook. This was one morning, I think last year, that I was up there and got a nice crepuscular ray hitting the top of one of the mountains up there. So you're going to get something different every time you go. I will virtually never go to that area without getting up one morning or two or maybe more and going up to see what the sun's doing and what the sky is doing up there at the Lefty Overlook. It's one of my favorite places to photograph in the park. And of course, it's easy access, you know, regardless of how much walking you can do and so forth. You're basically photographing right there from the parking lot. Oconaluftee River near Smokemont. This is right near the campground down there, almost to the Oconaluftee Visitor Center. You can actually see these rapids from the road. Really, really nice area to photograph in the fall. Now let's talk about elk at the Oconaluftee Visitor Center. The rut there is earlier than the rut that I told you about for whitetail. Whitetail kind of peaks in November. Typically, when I go up to photograph the elk, I'm going up mid-September. Usually go up on my birthday, which is September 18th, and photograph the elk in the rut. It's So some of the things about photographing them at Oconaluftee, one of the main places that you'll see them is a mowed field, which is not terribly attractive in my opinion, for photographing. I want it to look more natural than that. But this was really cropped into and a really tight shot with a long lens with a teleconverter on it, and so forth. And even though this is shot in that grass mowed grass field, you don't see any of that in this image. But there's the field that I was talking about. Now the grass is a little bit high there, so it looks a little bit more natural. But that's one of the downsides of there. But one of the upsides is kind of going down to the river trail along the Oconaluftee River behind the visitor center. So you walk behind the Oconaluftee Visitor Center, and there's a trail that goes down along the Oconaluftee River. And looking for the elk to cross the river is one of my favorite photo opportunities. Now, they often will have rangers that are there, either rangers or volunteers, that are going to try to keep you away from the elk, because a lot of people try to get too close to them, try to get the shot that I've got there on the left of that elk bugling in the river with their iPhone. Now you don't get that with an iPhone. You get that with a 500 millimeter lens is how you get that shot. So they're trying to keep people from getting too close to the elk. And so my rule of thumb is if they tell me to move, I move. If they tell me where to move, I move there. So I make sure to try not to make their life any harder, because they got a lot of people that they have to manage, and I want to help them do that. But I've really been fortunate to be able to get some nice images down there of elk crossing the river,
Hmm.
um, which I like a lot. Yeah. Somebody ask a question, or is that okay? So this was not the same year as the one there on the left. This was I think 2 years later. Got a real nice crossing shot of the big bull, um, and unfortunately, this past year, the big bull that was that had the harem there at Oconaluftee had got some stick and a bunch of like webbing caught up in his antlers. So every time you'd photograph him, he had that stick hanging down in his eyes, and it kind of messed up a lot of the shots. But I love to get shots like this of them crossing the area there. So remember what I said about the mode field? One of the nice things I like about going up through Maggie Valley and then hanging a left, heading up towards I-40, and then turning off and going up to Cataloochee Valley, um, is you get a lot more natural settings when you go up that way. This grass, and of course you can see the goldenrod in that image that's kind of in the middle there. It just looks a lot more natural than the mowed grass field that you get down at Oconaluftee. So there can be some really, really nice opportunities. This last year, we were up there, we watched a 30-minute battle royale between two great big bull elks. I didn't post any of those images here because they were very difficult to photograph. They were way down in the stuff, and you just couldn't get a clear shot into it. But it was still a cool experience just to watch it. And it wasn't just a sparring match. It was in fact, one of them had one of their tines busted off. Um, I think it may have been the guy to the right there that had one of his tines busted off after that battle. So this is kind of gives you an idea of where Cataloochee is. So you see up to the top there, it says Cataloochee Valley Elk Watching. So you see Maggie Valley down there at the bottom. So you're basically going up there to 226, and you go up almost to 40. It's the last road like on the left before the intersection with Interstate 40. And it kind of goes it's gravel road a lot of the way over there to Cataloochee, and you follow that gravel road into Cataloochee Valley. Then once you get to the valley, the roads are paved, and so it's good place to go photograph. This is one year when the guy had that was the uh, antlers that I thought were the strangest looking antlers I'd ever seen. That was kind of the dominant bull that year. One of the things near the Blue Ridge Parkway. So we're going to talk a little bit about Blue Ridge Parkway. So you know that the Blue Ridge Parkway ends right there by the Oconaluftee Visitors Center. And so that's one of the terminus points of the Blue Ridge Parkway. If you get on the Blue Ridge Parkway and you go about 13 miles, you'll come to Lickstone Ridge Overlook at milepost 458.9. Um, and so this is what, so if you look at where Lickstone Ridge is. It's looking to the west, which means this is a sunset, right? The other place I told you about, number four, parking lot number four, up there by Newfound Gap, that's a sunrise place. This is a sunset place. So, um, also, one of the things I love about this particular location is that in the fall, early fall, it usually has a lot of asters that you can use as a really nice foreground. So you can shoot this, wide. This is shot with the equivalent of a 24 millimeter, and I've used split neutral density filter here to bring down the sky about 3 stops. Actually, it may have been 4 stops total, and then let the other stuff kind of mix in better so I get good light on everything. But that's a really nice location. But you can also just do, kind of traditional shots with a telephoto lens, and compressing those ridges and getting those nice ridge shots there as well, because you're looking, towards the west. If you go further, the parkway near Shining Rock Wilderness and the Art Loeb Trail. This is further up into North Carolina, up towards going towards Asheville, but not there yet. And this is a wonderful location. Um, Silvermine Bald and Tennant Mountain and Black Balsam Knob up there off of the Blue Ridge Parkway. Those are in excess of 6,000 feet. So you're really talking high elevation stuff here. So it's going to be turning, a little bit earlier, than the stuff down lower. And the shot in the middle, top middle up there is a shot looking down towards what's called the Graveyard Fields. That's in that area as well. It's a really, really great area to photograph. I love the one to the shot to the right is going up the Art Loeb Trail from the Blue Ridge Parkway or just near the Blue Ridge Parkway. And that whole area becomes completely bald. So it's almost like being out west where you're above tree line or up in the Northeast mountains where you're above tree line and you really get 360-degree views. Here's where it is. It's the Black Balsam Knob Road near milepost 420. And the Art Loeb Trail intersects at that red bubble that you can see right there. And it goes immediately up to above 6,000 feet. And it's really, it's worth doing. Going further up now, we're beyond Asheville, North Carolina. Craggy Gardens and Craggy Pinnacle are just also really high, not as high as that area, but really high elevation areas, and some really nice overlooks that you can make some nice photographs from. This is near Craggy Gardens and Craggy Pinnacle. If you can see my cursor moving around, this parking area here. So this is after you've gone through the Craggy Pinnacle tunnel. This is to Asheville. So you're coming up from Asheville, like Blue Ridge Parkway, Craggy Flats Tunnel first, and then you come to the Craggy Gardens area. Then you go through this Pinnacle Tunnel. Right afterwards on the left is the parking lot, and that parking lot leads to a trail that goes up to Craggy Pinnacle, which is really worth going up. This is Lisa and me, my wife, up there. One time that we walked up to take pictures. You notice this little white and black down here. I don't know if you can see that, but that's actually a wedding. That's the bride and groom that's taking place over our shoulder. It's a really uh, kind of tells you that it's really not that difficult to walk to, but it is, it's a hike up. So you need to be able to hike and you need to be able to hike on uneven terrain. These are just some of the shots from walking up Craggy Pinnacle. I don't know if anybody else has been there, but that tree is probably one of the most heavily photographed tree in North Carolina. Uh, it's right at the beginning of the trail, right after you leave the parking area. So that's a spot that I really like to photograph a lot. Cherahela Skyway is up near and now we're back over near Robbinsville, North Carolina, Joyce Kilmer Wilderness Area, Kilmer Memorial Forest, that area of the country. I'll show you some maps here in a minute. And you see some of the fantastic views that you can get of the world from there. These are all of these pictures are shot from the Cherahela Skyway. Here it is. So if you look here, you'll see the Tennessee North Carolina line. And let me move this so I can see mine. I got to move this around. Okay. So you see the Joyce Kilmer Memorial Forest over here to the right. If you follow this road here, this takes you into Robbinsville, North Carolina, this 143. Um, and so you come up here and get to this where is it? I guess it's this point right here where you take 143 and it becomes the Cherahela Skyway. Or you can go down here to Joyce Kilmer that I'm going to talk about in a minute too. Huckleberry Knob is right at about 5,800 feet. One of the things I love about Huckleberry Knob is that you can look to the northeast and get great views and photographs of the skyline of Great Smoky Mountain National Park. So that's a really good place to do that. Let's move on here. So this is one morning going up the Cherahela Skyway. And obviously we hit the road well before sunrise so that we could get up there. This is a before sunrise shot. Or just before sunrise. Here's some shots from the Skyway, various views from it. Hooper Bald, so the one to the upper right is the view from Hooper Bald. The one to the left is the one from Huckleberry Knob. And if you notice that skyline over to the left, you can see kind of the three peaks of Mount LeConte. So that's looking up into the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. Um, and then you get this great sunset views down below from Sunset Overlook. See where my cursor is? So it's got these terrific views to the west. Now, oh, I'm going back. Sorry. So Joyce Kilmer Memorial Forest is near the Cherahela Skyway. And has some of the biggest poplar trees anywhere. Of course, Joyce Kilmer was the poet who wrote, I think that I shall never see a poem lovely as a tree. And so this memorial is kind of based on his poem and love of trees. I guess he was a World War I vet. And so some of these trees it's a poplar cove, and some of these trees are 22, 23 feet in circumference, 150 feet tall. So these are giant trees, and it's a wonderful area to go. I think I've only got this one shot in here of Joyce Kilmer, but there's tons there. And then right nearby that area are Santitla Creek. So the creek going through Joyce Kilmer is Little Santitla Creek that then joins up with Santitla Creek down below the Memorial Forest and Rattler Ford. So these are just some images there from Santitla Creek, and Rattler Ford is a campground right across from the entrance road to Joyce Kilmer Memorial Forest. Now let's get back on the Cherahela Skyway and drive over the North Carolina Tennessee line into Tennessee, and we're going to go to the Tellico River and Bald River Falls area. So what happens is we go up to the end of the Skyway, and then we start to look for signs that will take us to Bald River Falls and Baby Falls, or you just have the address that I'm going to put on that handout typed into your GPS, and you follow it. So it's a really cool location. Um, Bald River Falls, really pretty waterfall that has like a bridge right in front of it that you can set up your photo equipment, almost like the bridge you're going to go photograph the Atlanta skyline from in that Jackson Street. Um, uh, it's kind of a similar thing, except you got a waterfall instead of a metropolitan area to photograph. And then the guy going over Baby Falls up there, that's uh, on the river. So that's uh, Tellico River. And this is down in the Tellico Plains area. So absolutely worth doing. And the reason I list all these together is, this is something you can go do all of these in a day or a weekend trip. These are all within a very short distance of each other. Joyce Kilmer Memorial Forest, the stuff on top of the Cherahela Skyway, and then down here at Tellico River and Bald River Falls. They're all real close to each other. Ocoee River is a really great spot to photograph. We think about it for doing whitewater rafting, but it's also a really nice area to photograph. Certainly in the fall, where I've got some images here of going up there in the fall, but also going there in the summertime. So um, down here, I'm going to get you to notice a couple of things. Here's the Whitewater Center, and those are where most of the photographs I just showed you are from, is near the Whitewater Center. That's the bridge there that goes over the river. And this was the Olympic venue for the 1996 Olympic Games. And then as you go down, you've got the Middle Ocoee put in, which is a good area for photographs. And then the Goforth Creek Trailhead. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about Goforth Creek in a separate presentation here in a minute. I like to go up in the summertime and photograph the Ocoee kayakers because you can go right there at the main park, and there's a lot of people that'll be lined up, there along the river to photograph these guys coming down. One thing to bear in mind, they turn on the water from the dam at 8 o'clock, but it takes like 10 to 10:30 for it to get to this location. It takes a while for the water to get down there. So you won't be able to photograph for a while. So there's no sense getting up early in the morning. But you can go over here to Goforth Creek, which is you saw that little marker that I put on that map earlier. It's a really photogenic little creek that is right off of the Ocoee River. Um, just a little tiny little parking lot. Most people drive right past Goforth Creek and don't even see it, but it's really remarkable. It's really got some beautiful scenes in there. Be real careful. I've known more than one person take a tumble there. For some reason, it's just kind of a little bit treacherous. So now let's go to the Cumberland Plateau over in Tennessee while we're up in this area. Some of my favorite places up there are the South Cumberland State Park, which used to be called the South Cumberland Recreation Area, which includes things like Savage Gulf and Stone Door and Fiery Gizzard, and different cool place names like that. Walls of Jericho is further south of that. Natural Bridge, Sewanee Natural Bridge is right near, the University of the South, there in Sewanee. Some really, really neat places up there on the, uh, because the geology of those mountains is very different from the Appalachians, and it's a really really cool place for waterfalls. You notice how these waterfalls are really different than the waterfalls that you see in North Georgia, which are mostly cascades. So, like the longest drop of any of these waterfalls is Falls Creek Falls, which is the waterfall that's pictured right to the right of where it says Cumberland Plateau. So this is Fall Creek Falls here. It's 256 feet. Well, Amicalola Falls is like 729, if I remember correctly. So they're not quite as high, but because of the fact that they form in this way in that geology, um, they're not cascades. They fall directly. As I say it when I'm describing it, they get air, right? They come off of there, and there's a gap between them. They're not hugging the rocks like the cascades do. So these falls in order are up to the upper left. That is Walls of Jericho. And notice how that water is falling into that place, and then the water doesn't go anywhere. It's like, where does the water go? Well, it actually goes underground there, and it comes out about 50 yards below that. This stuff is just honeycombed with caves. So it's a really cool place. Now, a little word of warning, there's quite a hike down there. It's about 3 miles to hike down to the walls of Jericho. There's two different trailheads, and both of them are about the same distance. One of them's an Alabama trailhead, the other's a Tennessee trailhead, and they're both about 3 miles long, and they both have an elevation uh, increase or decrease first of 1,000 feet, and then back up 1,000 feet. So it's got some hike to it. It's quite a hike down there. Greeter Falls is up in the South Cumberland. That's the next one over. South Cumberland area, South Cumberland State Park. There's actually there's a parking area that gives you, I think it's about 4/10 of a mile walk down to it, but it's some elevation decrease and then gain. Over here to the right, that's Foster Falls. And if you get down there to the base of the falls, that's quite a hike down there. I think it's about a mile down there with a pretty good elevation gain, but I don't remember exactly. Fall Creek Falls, you can walk down to the base too, but I never have, so I won't talk about that. And then DeSoto Falls is also on the Cumberland Plateau, but in Alabama. And that's up near Mentone, Alabama. So and of course there's other ones. There's Cumberland Falls. There's tons of waterfalls up on the Cumberland Plateau. Now let's jump back over to North Carolina to the Nantahala River. Nantahala River is a great place to photograph kayakers if you like doing that. I love doing it because it's action photography. It's people interacting with nature. It's just, it's cool colors because these kayaks are all crazy colors, and it's action. It's just I have a lot of fun with it. This is down at these are all photographs made at Lesser Wesser, which is just the last rapid on the Nantahala River before the takeout. And so this is the only class three uh, uh, rapid on the Nantahala River. But that Lesser Wesser is quite a rapid, and it's really got some exciting shots that you can get there of people kayaking it. So this is up near the right below the put in. This is right at Patton's Run. I was thinking about when somebody said the next uh, theme for the photos is wet. I thought of this picture immediately. But this is at Patton's Run, and you actually can park there on the side of 129 or 19. and walk down. Very easy walk down to where you can see the kayakers and rafters coming down through Patton's Run, which is like a high class two rapid. Right near there, so if you look, you can see in the upper left, you can see Patton's Run. See it right there. So that's the road that parallels 19, that parallels the river all the way down to the end. Well, if you turn off there onto Waya Road and start heading up river, this is above the put-in, and this is called the Upper Nantahala River. And the upper Nantahala River drops, I think it's over 1,000 feet in elevation. So there are tons and tons of different cascades and little waterfalls and so forth that you can hit while you're there. One of my favorite ones is right down here. If you see my cursor to the lower right, White Oak Creek Falls, and this is that waterfall. Just a lovely little waterfall. But there are other ones, really pretty waterfalls on that whole section. Now, this is not on the Nantahala River. This is a creek that right as it's flowing into the Nantahala River. So it's good location. Okay, jumping back over to Tennessee, Hiwassee Wildlife Refuge, which is right outside of Birchwood, Tennessee, off of Tennessee 60. It's about 2.5 hours from my house. Great place to photograph sandhill cranes. There's a viewing platform. All of these two shots here are taken from the viewing platform. Typically, I'm going to go there starting mid-December up through January. The one time I would tell you not to go is during the weekend of the Crane Festival because the place is just jammed with people, and you have to park off-site, and then you have to get on a tram and go up there and so forth. So it's really not a good time to go. But other times, I like to go up during the weekdays. But it's really not all that crowded usually on the weekends either, if that's the only time that you can go. But you want to go when it's cold. December through January is really the best time to go. And so this is it. So you can see 60 going up there to the upper left as it's going out that upper left corner. That's the Tennessee River. And then down here is Birchwood. And so the address of this is Pitty Road. So you'll just, I've got the address in there. I think it's 1055 or something like that. But anyhow, you put that address in there, it'll take you right here to this viewing platform. One of the things that draws the cranes is these fields often are planted with corn. So they're coming for the corn, but they're also coming to feed down here at the flats. I would tell you to go up there in all kinds of weather. Even if it's foggy weather, you can, get up and get some pretty nice shots of those cranes coming in for a landing. This was shot this January up there when they had some snow. And made for some really nice photography and photographs. It is my favorite place to go to photograph sandhill cranes, other than Bosque del Apache out in New Mexico. Um, but now you can also go across. Remember, I told you Tennessee River. Okay, you can go across Tennessee River on 60 and go up here to Blythe Ferry Road. Take take a right and come down here to Blythe Ferry Landing. So the road actually goes into the river, both sides there. And you can see this kind of stuff at Blythe Ferry. So this is during this is probably January up there at Blythe Ferry. So a lot of times that you're getting flight shots up near the viewing platform, you can get shots of the birds, kind of actually walking around and poking into the mud there and eating there. Then also in different seasons, you can get things like this red-breasted merganser. This is actually in the summertime, which is when I went up to photograph this. So this, and I don't know if this Osprey platform is being used right now, but it's right off of the boat ramp there. So I'm a very short distance from that nest. And if you notice, I'm not looking way up, right? It's a kind of a low platform, and so you really are getting to look into the nest. This is two juveniles. You can tell the juveniles, they got the reddish eyes. Mom there has the yellow eyes, and the juveniles are they're wing testing. So they haven't fledged yet, but they're testing their wings and strengthening them and so forth. And that was shot, I believe, during June. Now I'm going to, most of the areas here have my photo, well, all the photographs here except for the maps are my photographs, but this is not my photograph because I have been to Wheeler National Wildlife Refuge, but I haven't been there to photograph the cranes. However, I wanted to put it into this presentation because Wheeler National Wildlife Refuge over near Decatur, Alabama, is now starting to get as many people going there to photograph sandhill cranes as go
Mm.
um, up to Hiawassee. In fact, I think it's probably more now, and they're getting a big number of the cranes. In fact, people who have been to both are telling me that now there are more cranes um, at uh, at Wheeler than there are at Hiawassee. We saw two whooping cranes when I was up at Hiawassee this January. Certainly not this close, but we did see them. But people are seeing them down at Wheeler near Decatur, Alabama. So that's another good location. I'm going to hit there this year for the first time for getting the cranes. But I thought I would mention it because it's an alternate location, and some say even a better location for getting sandhill crane photographs. Now we're going to go right over the South Carolina line to the Chattooga River, which is, the if you've seen the movie Deliverance, that's the Chattooga River. And here's a map showing you this is 76 in North Georgia, and this is right as it crosses over into South Carolina. These huge parking areas are here because this is the takeout for Section 4 of the Chattooga, or Section 3. It's the takeout for Section 3 of the Chattooga. The last major rapid on Section 3 is Bull Sluice on the Chattooga. And then down here is the put in for Section 4. So this is when you start getting into Woodall Shoals and Sock'em Dog and all those big. That's definitely the toughest section on the Chattooga River. But Bull Sluice in this area is a great place for photography, especially in the fall. Love going up there in the fall to photograph, looking up river from Bull Sluice. This is photographed from the South Carolina side. Over there to the left is going towards Georgia. So that big old rock over on the other side of the river, that's in Georgia. I'm in South Carolina making this photograph. Lots of detailed photos to be made there in the river. This was the Section 4 put in, so this is a little bit below Bull Sluice. And this was November 6th of 2017. And really nice foliage there. I'm a dragonfly photographer, as Bill White will tell you. And it's a great location for dragonflies in late May, and also
Don't
damselflies.
like
So,
dragonflies. I hate them.
well, I'm sorry about that. Um, Anyhow, the Appalachian uh, jewel wing over to the left. Then the center one is a green faced um, uh, clubtail, and then the one to the right is a uh, snaketail. It's a Edmund's snaketail. Okay. So now let's go down further down the Savannah River. So Savannah National Wildlife Refuge. Now Savannah we associate um, with Georgia. But the Savannah National Wildlife Refuge, this area that I'm going to talk about, is actually in South Carolina. So this is again just over the line. That's a purple gallinule photographed there a few years ago. So here we go. We're going. So you see the South Carolina, Georgia border. Go right over here, and this is the Laurel Hill Wildlife Drive. And if you follow the cursor around and down here and then back up. This area right here is the wildlife drive, and there's a lot of great species there. My favorite time to go there is either in the wintertime or in September. I've had some really good luck there. So you see that picture right behind the banner there. That is least bittern. And then you see a swallowtail on pickerel weed there in the inset. Um, got a this alligator uh, was sunning himself right next to a striped parking lot, um, right outside of the one of the parking lanes. And I thought, oh, maybe he's waiting for somebody. But I wouldn't have parked there, that's for sure. And then down at the bottom right, you have a purple gallinule, and that was photographed there as well. Uh, Really seen the last two times that I've been there in the wintertime, black-bellied whistling ducks by the tons. I never used to see black-bellied whistling ducks there at all, but now see them every time I go. Um, so really getting to be a good location for that. And also, other birds as well. Like the last time I went there, saw really nice shots of black crowned night herons and other birds. Okay, let's go to the Florida Space Coast. That is, of course, the Atlantic coast, mostly near Titusville, Florida, and the Kennedy Space Center there. So let's start with the Rich Grissom Memorial Wetlands, which is also called Vieira Wetlands. This is near Melbourne, Florida. It's about 7 miles north on I-95 of that area. This is a really populated area. And this wetland is actually a water treatment facility, which a lot of these locations in Florida are water treatment facilities. And they have really done a good job of turning them into wildlife habitat as well. Some great species there. Crested caracara to the right, which is a bird that you often see in South Texas, but don't see as much in Florida. So it's really nice to be able to see them there. Osprey, there's a juvenile trying to steal a fish from an adult. The Florida morph of a red-shouldered hawk, and sandhill cranes. The sandhill cranes that are in Florida are actually a subspecies that are not migratory, so they stick in the same place. This is one of the last times that I went there. This was during the fall around Thanksgiving. Anybody recognize that bird?
Strike.
As a loggerhead shrike, absolutely right. Otherwise known as a butcher bird, with his larder there, with his grasshopper impaled on a stick, and he ate him. And I have pictures of various levels of consumption of that critter. But great location there. This was also at Vieira Wetlands. There's an area there when you walk back. You used to be able to drive these roads. You can't do it anymore. But walking back about a half a mile from where the parking area is, there was a really low great blue heron's nest. And so I could really get good shots looking into the nests and see the youngsters there and see the parents flying in and so forth. So really good area. Black Point Wildlife Drive is one of my favorite places to go in Florida. It's a part of the Merritt Island National Wildlife Refuge. It's open daily from sunrise to sunset. The visitor center is only open Tuesday through Saturday from 8 to 3:30. but this area is open sunrise to sunset. It's a $10 fee to get in unless you have your national parks passes and uh, what's the other one? It's called it's for all the different agencies pass. But I usually end up paying the $10 because I want it to go straight to that park anyway. Um, so this is actually on the main road going and at the visitor center. So I have a lot of really good luck at this visitor center of seeing painted buntings. So I often see them when I go there. And I'm usually there in January, February is when I tend to go, and oftentimes see the buntings at that time, but also see them at other times as well. These photos are on the Black Point Wildlife Drive. So lots of good species there, like great blue heron, roseate spoonbill. This one was actually shot in the summertime, uh, late spring, early summer. Blackneck stilt with you see its eggs below. You can see the brood patch, etc. And that was nesting right by the loop the drive. And so I was able to just basically park the car on the side of the road, get out, set up my tripod, and spent a lot of time photographing these birds as they were on the nests. I have really good luck there finding uh, uh, reddish egrets, and usually see more than one reddish egret and get some really now one of the things, I'd love to be lower, have a camera position that's lower, but one of the things about this place is that you're kind of up where you are, and you're up on these kind of berms, and so it's hard to get really low where you're at right at water level because you're going to have mangroves blocking your view or something blocking your view. So, yeah, I'd love it if I could get lower on some of these shots, but you can't always do that. Sometimes you can, but not always. Um, these are also at Merritt Island National Wildlife Refuge. Green herons nesting down there right near the bathroom. There was a rookery there with just tons of green herons and nests. Great blue heron, roseate spoonbill in flight. That's a reddish egret down at the lower right. All at that refuge. Also, there's a manatee viewing deck. It's not a part of the Black Point Wildlife Drive, but it's in the Merritt Island National Wildlife Refuge. And oftentimes when I go there, the manatees are there. You certainly want to have a polarizer, and the water's not very clear. So there's certainly better places to photograph manatees in Florida, but it's nice to go there and see them at least. Um, so one of the Merritt Island National Wildlife Refuge is right next to Canaveral National Seashore. So one of my favorite places to photograph at Canaveral National Seashore is Biolab Road. So you go from Merritt Island through the park entrance where you either show them your pass or pay your fee to get into the park. Um, and um, and then you go up about a mile and a half, and Biolab Road is on the left. But let me stop you real quick. You see the two birds in the one picture down below the roseate spoonbill? That's Florida scrub jays. And the best place I know of to 100% find Florida scrub jays is right next to the entrance station there. So what you do is you give the park ranger your money, or show them your pass. You go into the park, you go immediately over to the left-hand side of the road, and they'll show you where you park there. There's an area you can pull off and park. And back in that scrubby area back there, I have never failed to see almost immediately scrub jays there. And so really good if you're looking for that species. Also, a species that I see there a lot is that picture right below where it says Canaveral National Seashore. That is a female northern harrier, and that's off of Biolab Road, as is the picture of the the landing, roseate spoonbill. But also seen things like bobcats there. Saw two of them together off of Biolab Road. There's a Florida scrub jay gathering food, and then gopher tortoises, which you see there, a fairly good bit. So really good place. Orlando Wetlands, also a water treatment facility, but has been turned into a great location for nature viewing and nature photography. There's boardwalks there. There's lots of miles of trail. They even have the trails with like street signs on them. They're trails, but they got street signs on them, Alligator Alley and et cetera, et cetera. But really good diversity of species there. You see a sora down at the lower right, black crown night heron above it, black-bellied whistling duck with its babies, which I think look like bumblebees, the ducklings of black-bellied whistling ducks. Purple gallinule, never saw one that I didn't photograph. And one of the things that it's really great for there is being able to sit down on the next to the water when you see an anhinga go down and fish, and just wait for them to come up with a fish and photograph them fishing. I love doing that and get a lot of success there with photographing them coming up with their fish. So this is where Orlando Wetlands is. It's right near Christmas, Florida. So this road right here goes out to I-95. It's about 15 miles out to this turn here at Christmas, Florida, and it's about 4 miles from here to here. And then you come on down here to Orlando Wetlands. You got a park, and you walk through the whole thing. But there's tons and tons of trails to go there. There's a great boardwalk that now, if you go there in the winter, we were there in February, just this last February. There's a rookery that the boardwalk goes right past, and the rookery is multi-species. So you got wood storks there, you got roseate spoonbills there, great blue herons, uh, you know, uh, black crowned night herons, you name it. They're nesting there. Also, lots of other species that I've seen there: peregrine falcons, um, bald eagles, American kestrels. Great locations there. Lake Apopka Wildlife Drive, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., Friday through Sunday. Those are the only days, and federal holidays. Um, it's a good location. It's right in it's in Orlando. It's not south, it's in Orlando. So you're right there in a lot of city. But, I've gotten some great birds there, like this American bittern, which is, pretty unusual spotting. But these were all photographed at Lake Apopka Wildlife Drive. Joe Overstreet Landing on Lake Kissimmee. Here it is. Joe Overstreet Landing is actually a park. And the bird in the middle there is a snail kite. That's a female snail kite. Bald eagle, of course, to the right, and a male belted kingfisher over there to the left that was hovering, and got some nice shots of that just from the deck that's there at Joe Overstreet Landing. Um, and so I had heard that, so this is the place that used to be the go-to location for snail kites. But when I went there, I saw only females and didn't see them getting any snails. So I talked to somebody and they said, "Oh, go to the Airboat Photographers Facebook page." And Airboat Photographer is a guy who loves to photograph uh, mainly raptors, and he also is an airboat captain. And it's called um, Boggy Creek. It's on Lake Toho, but they call it Lake Toho. And so it's got some price to it. So we had five of us down there, and the boat, you can rent the entire boat, airboat, for 2 hours for $500. So it costs us $100 each. But oh my gosh, they took us right on to the snail kites, and that's a female to the upper left, a female with a snail just to the right of that, a male just to the right of that, and a male with a snail. And I've got tons more photographs from just a 2 hour 2 hour boat ride. So I highly recommend it. It's one of those things that's a little pricey. Most of the things that I have in here aren't. But boy, did I get a lot of nice pictures of that. Did anybody see the Americas that was recently special on, I think it was NBC. It was narrated by Tom Hanks. They did a great thing on the Everglades, and it included Florida apple snails and snail kites. And I was like, oh, I've seen those. I've seen them with snails. So it's really cool, and it's quite an experience to see them. They have been much more endangered. They're kind of making a small comeback, but they still have a lot of hurdles. So it's really cool to see those critters thriving there. And here you see where Boggy Creek Airboat Adventures is down here. And don't underestimate the traffic in getting there. It's actually it's again very much in town. You see Kissimmee right up here, and you're kind of having to come around the whole lake and so forth to get there. But it's worth doing if you want to get those guys. And I'm going to finally wrap up with beaches. You know, all up and down Florida are beaches, and every one of them is a photo venue. Um, so the one to the upper left in this picture is Melbourne Beach, Florida. The osprey with the fish over there to the right is photographed at Sebastian Inlet State Park, which is a little bit south of there. The black-bellied plover to the bottom right is also at Sebastian Inlet, and I don't remember where the other one is. One morning I was walking on the beach at Melbourne Beach and happened along a sea turtle, a loggerhead turtle. So I got loggerhead shrikes and loggerhead turtles in here. And she was still up there laying her eggs. Of course, I stayed back, waited for the University of Florida grad students to come along and write all of their notes about it and so forth, and make sure to ask them, how far to stay back and everything. Was able to get some really nice images of that turtle leaving that morning. That was there. And so, just lots of opportunities there. Some really, some dark skies. You can probably see the Pleiades over there just above my head. Uh, so I love the beaches of Florida. There's just no end to the opportunities that you can have on those beaches. And Mr. Stand-in Hylos, Pat, I am done.
Well, Tom, thank you. Really informative. I'm psyched about going up to Blue Ridge later on in the fall. So thank you for
Cool.
raising the excitement level.
Are there any questions? I'm glad to answer or go into more detail on any of the areas that I talked about. Anybody here going to the Smokies weekend? Are you going, Pat?
Oh, it's not with GNPA. It's CPS in North Georgia. We're going to do
Oh,
it.
cool. Yeah. Well, you're going up there with Travis.
Yeah.
Travis Rhodes, right?
Yeah,
And
Travis is going to lead that field trip for both clubs.
yeah, Travis knows that park. Travis has probably forgotten more about that park than I know about it.
Travis is a fanatic for that place.
He is. He
Yeah.
is. And if you're going to be fanatical about a place, that's certainly a place to be fanatical about. There's just so much. There's just so much there.
Can you stop sharing?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. Let me do stop share.